Dawn again, and welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time, thanks for clicking on this video. So as you see from the title, it is why I left the UK and moved back to America. So just to give you a little backstory and some context before I jump right into that, for those of you who've never seen me before and don't know anything about these videos, I lived in London for 6 years. I moved there for grad school, and after completing grad school, I stayed on what was called a post-study work visa. It allowed you to stay in the UK and work for any employer without being sponsored for 2 years. So after I finished uni, I applied for the post-study work visa. They were actually eliminating that visa, and that was the last chance that anyone could apply for it at the time. I'm not sure if it's back, if it exists anymore. But at the time, there was a mad rush for everyone to apply. And so I was like, what the heck? Like, why not? I thought it was a sign from God that I was supposed to stay in the UK. So I applied for it, I got it approved. And so I started working, and then lo and behold, I looked up and it had been 6 years since I lived there. And as you can see from some of my videos, that was one of the best experiences in my life. I wanted to live abroad and study abroad just to do something different. I moved to London from LA. I had been living there for like 5 years. And I wanted something different. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone. I wanted to grow as a person. And I definitely did that living in London. You know, I felt like that was a time in my life where I became an adult. I was really, really independent, and I went into survival mode in a way, and I learned a lot about myself. I had to mature a lot, and I got to meet people from all over the world. I got to travel a lot. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell. So as I was there for quite some time, there came a point where I had to ask myself, what did my future look like? And did I want to stay there? Did I want to live somewhere else? Did I want to move back to America? And so that brings me to the reasons why I finally made the very difficult decision to move back to the States. So the first thing I will say, which was one of the biggest decisions, which was one of the biggest reasons for my decision, was the cost of living in London. I absolutely loved London, and I didn't really see myself living anywhere else in the UK. And so I was really attached to the city. I felt like it was my home. I had friends there that I really loved and adored, and we traveled together, and you know, we confided in each other, and they became really close to me. And so I wanted to stay there because I had my little bubble. And I really struggled with the fact that if I stayed in London, with the cost of living being as expensive as it was, how would that affect my quality of life? And to be honest with you, I was very happy there. I was very happy in my little, you know, room that I was renting out. I had like a little kitchenette. I shared a bathroom with another flatmate. My rent was relatively low considering, you know, the market at the time. It hadn't changed in 3 years. I think about when I decided to move, they decided to increase it, but not by, you know, a large amount. But I was in zone 2. So I was really close to everything, very central. I really did like it, but I did miss some of the things like driving. I did miss that. I missed just the independence of that, but then also that comes at a premium cost in London. So with all that being said, I decided, okay, look, I felt like my paycheck was going to experiences and to things, and it wasn't really, I didn't really get a good savings. I didn't feel like I was making any progress. Like, I wasn't saving for retirement at all. I know the company that I was working for, they didn't have like a pension that you could pay into, and it was just kind of like I felt complacent in my professional life and my financial progress. And I had goals, you know, I wanted to buy a home eventually, and I didn't really see that being an option. One, with the amount of money that I was making, and two, with the cost of living in London and even in greater London and the outskirts. So yeah, that was kind of my decision to, okay, maybe this isn't a long-term place for me. So the second reason, and this is probably, these aren't listed in priority, so if it were, this would be number one, but this is being so far away from my family. So I'm quite a family-oriented person. I come from a very big family and we're quite close, even my extended family, and I really miss that. And that was one thing that I took for granted, just being able to hop on a flight or a long drive home. And so unfortunately my family wasn't able to come visit me in the UK, so I tried to go home as much as possible, once or twice a year, definitely on Christmas. It's really big for my family, so I did miss that. And then I tried to go again for maybe if there was a special occasion or something like that, but it was difficult, you know. Oklahoma, where I'm from, is far. So you're looking at 11, 12, 13-hour flight, and then the cost of the flight as well. So then you also want to make sure that you're home for a good amount of time. And so it was a lot. And as my grandparents were getting older, my parents were getting older, I have a niece and nephew, and I missed quite a bit of their milestones during that time that I don't regret, because as I said, I really grew as a person, and sometimes you do have to be selfish and just do things for you. Looking back, I did miss out on quite a bit, and there's only so much like FaceTiming and calls that you can do. You want to be there in person. So that was a bit of a bummer for me. Okay, so the next one it has to do with dating and relationships and marriage and all that jazz. So as I talked about in my previous video, dating in the UK, and I talked about some of the differences dating in London versus dating in America, and that was, I think I made that video 4 or 5 years ago. It was been quite some time, and things haven't changed. If anything, I think the US has adopted a little bit more of the British way of dating. Not totally, especially now that I live in Texas, so it's still a little bit more of the middle America type of dating, southern thing, but it has drifted more that way. But it still remains to be true that there are some differences there. And there's a lot that people don't talk about when it comes to dating someone that is not from your culture. I don't hear it a lot. I hear about all the good things, you know, oh, this person's different, oh, I get to learn about a different culture and all of this stuff. But people don't really touch on the complexities that go along with dating someone from a different culture, a different country. And so for me, it was the questions of, you know, what kind of family did they come from? Do we have shared values? What are their future plans? Where do they want to live? Are we aligned with that? Would they want to move back to the States at some point? Would they be able to move back to the States at some point? What would their family think? Where is their family living? What would my family think if I stayed here? And so it's all of those questions that come up, and I felt as though, you know, I am a bit of a traditionalist, I guess. So marriage is really important to me. Not enough to just rush and do it. I enjoy, you know, anyway. But you know, with the right person, that is the kind of the path that I would like to go. And in dating in London, I felt like that wasn't really on a lot of people's radar in terms of like even starting a family or buying a house. People would tend to do that before they got married, and I just wasn't aligned with that. And so instead of like kind of beating my head against the wall to say, I was like, maybe it'd be easier for me if I move back to the States and, you know, kind of go about it that way. I don't know how fruitful that has been, but it was a thought. It went into my thought process, in my decision-making process as to move back. Yeah, so TBD on that one. Okay, and then another reason, and this is kind of just like a slight reason. It wasn't like it was weighted very heavily. But it was kind of, you know, coming from Los Angeles, there was a great sense of entrepreneurship, optimism. There's just a lot of energy in LA. And don't get me wrong, London has a ton of energy and it's a very vibrant city. But one of the things that I felt London was lacking a bit was that entrepreneurial drive. And I don't know if you guys kind of understand what I mean by this, especially if you've had any time in some of the major cities in the United States. Let me know what you think about this. But you know, obviously, so I work near the city, Old Street, and I don't know, coming from an environment where people didn't work traditional 8 to 5, going into a routine where we get up, we go on the tube, everyone kind of going in the same direction from the tube, everyone's getting their breakfast, everyone has their newspaper, everyone, you know, it just felt like it was a lot of samey. Everyone kind of has on the same shades of clothes. I was just like, oh my God, I felt quite boxed in. I felt kind of, I'm not a routine person, even though some people assume that I am. I don't know why, but I'm not a routine person. So to have every day be the same, I was like, get me out of here. This is driving me crazy. But I understand that was kind of the process that people go through. Go to uni, you know, study, and then get a really good job in the city. I was just like, ooh, it was too. And there are some places in the US, you know, that are like that too. I know some people who they like that kind of pathway. And I'm just not a regimented 8 to 5 type of person. That's why I work from home. So I can just roll out of bed and get on my laptop. But that's just me, that's just how my brain works. And so I needed that energy. I needed that, you know, people thinking outside the box and people being able to take risk. And for it to be kind of a place of normalcy. Like, I live in Austin now, and you know, so many people are part of startups. They work in tech companies, and so they're working from home and remotely. And so there's a bit of that energy, that same kind of LA energy here. I mean, it's not glamorous by any means. I do miss that about London, the fashion, and just people just look put together. But anyway, this is not about the things I miss. That is one of the things that I do miss about, that is one of the reasons why I moved back too. And that kind of goes along with the financial planning bit, you know, kind of looking at my future and what I wanted and all of that stuff. And last but not least, I'll make it short, but I miss the African American culture. I'm not gonna lie. Not that I lived and breathed and swam in it every day of my life before moving to London, but obviously in the States there's a bit of that wherever I lived, and I just missed it. I missed the food, I missed the culture, I missed the jokes, the laughter. I missed all of that. And I didn't realize that until one time one of my a guy that was based in New York, in our New York office at the company that I work for, he was training in our London office for like a week, and he was a black guy. I mean, the moment that we like just started talking, it was like sense of humor, jokes, inside jokes, quoting movies, quoting songs, and it was just like a breath of fresh air. And I didn't realize how much I missed that until I had a taste of it. And I was like, oh my God, I missed this. Obviously, it's not a huge reason why I moved back. I wouldn't move back just because of that. I just pop on like some, I don't know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Cosby Show or something. Okay, maybe not Cosby Show, something else. But it's a part of who I am. It's a part of what I identify with. And even meeting other African American people in the UK, it was a bit of home away from home. So I did miss that, and I thought I'd just throw that in there because that is something that I'm sure a lot of you guys may either not even think about when you're going to move to a different country, is that culture aspect that you may take for granted because you see it, you feel it day in, day out. And then you take yourself away from that and it's like, okay, this is different. No one's getting my sense of humor. No one's really relating to me as I'm used to people doing. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. It's not a deal breaker, it's nothing horrible, but you should just note it. But yes, those are pretty much my reasons for moving back to the States. It's bittersweet. I do miss the UK terribly, and I think kind of making these videos have allowed me to hold on to that part of my life. But all good things must come to an end, and as such, I will be transitioning the content of my channel to more relevant videos. I know I will be doing some home decor projects. For those of you who don't know, I bought a house recently, and so look out for that. Also, if you have some ideas on content that I can do, definitely let me know. I like sharing my perspective on things for whatever it's worth, but I think it's therapeutic. And for you guys who you may not feel comfortable making videos, but you're interested in certain topics and you want to speak about it, whether dropping a comment below and starting a conversation, I definitely welcome that, and you can use me as your way to get those conversations started. So I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. Please be sure to subscribe and comment and like this video. Let me know what you think, and until next time, bye.